Hello there. This is, I haven't made a video for a while, and as always happens, if you don't record the draft is always so much better than the actual time you record it. I've had a lot of thoughts lately about how we need to maybe address some broader issues as OTs and coaches, about the choice of occupations we as human beings take and the impact that they have on broader society and the world. Now that's come about because of lots of things recently. One, I did some advanced coach training last year called analytic network coach training, which I think I've mentioned in some previous work. And part of that, the network bit, actually says, we're very connected human beings. We can't just look at ourselves all the time. We need to look at how we're connected and the broader society. That's one thing, but also, as you probably know, that I am quite involved in my local sort of environmental movement. I'm not going to bang on about the politics of that too much, but I've also been reading about this thing called Ecopation, which is a sort of acknowledgement that occupation has an environmental eco. It's all about eco, isn't it? We can't operate our occupations in a vacuum, okay? And, I've had this growing pondering and awareness that actually the world's environmental problems are caused by human activity choices. Nothing else. It's all caused by stuff we do. So human activity choices, human occupations need to change at many levels. And, we know how complex that is in relation to illness and disability. But if you take it out to kind of environmental issues and broader world and social issues, the nature of occupation gets very complex indeed, doesn't it? So, because our occupational choices have such an impact on the world, are we not ethically bound to sort of start considering them and start considering choices? By the way, this isn't a talk about sustainable practice or virtual therapy, so we don't have to drive to appointments, or recycling toilet seats. I know those things are important, but this is not at the crux of what needs to happen. As OTs, we're very good about asserting the rights of the individual. But what we need to understand, and our clients need to understand as well, is that our rights and actions have an impact elsewhere in the local system or further afield, often in a negative way. So whilst I might assert my right to be able to drive a car, that has, impacts broader afield in the world. And actually, by asserting our rights, we're also sometimes riding roughshod over the rights of the earth. Now, we have human rights, we have animal rights. Do we have earth rights? And this is all for pondering for you. We need to consider, moving from the I, the I of independence, beyond the us, the interdependence, which we're pretty good at, family and social stuff, and to consider the we, society, and the big we, which I knew it make me chuckle, with the big we being, global planetary stuff. We need to consider the wider network and the impact of our occupational choices and actions and desires on a bigger world scale. As I say, I'm not finding this easy to say or to write, because I don't, I know that our job's hard enough, and I kind of feel like I'm actually Jen's adding another thing and we've got to think about. But just bear with me for now. The coaching is about raising awareness, usually about ourselves, and in how we are in relation to others. But as I say, we need to consider how coaching raises awareness of others in the broader context of the world. And through asking questions and being curious in coaching, we help people move forward in a positive, meaningful direction. And again, that bit needs to consider who's it meaningful and positive for, not just the individual. How does this business I'm building impact on the world? How does, what I'm doing now impact on my children in 20, 30 years' time? That sounds really evocative, I know. So there might be questions that can be asked in the context of a coaching session, or as part of an OT session that includes coaching style questions, that could broaden our perspective, both as individuals and as OTs, But, at a personal level that impacts stuff, local and a planetary level. So we could ask questions on a sort of more of a personal level, like, you know, is this choice that I'm making coming from hope or from fear? Because we have a lot of fear-based stuff going on in the world right now. Another way of sort of perhaps sort of thinking about a similar thing is, what would be the really low stress choice right now? Well, we've got a society that is really increasingly knowing how important it is to lower stress, lower the expectations, especially with kids, you know. We don't always have to make the big goal, the big stress, the big change, okay? How can I find the peaceful way forward? And even the word "the peaceful" assumes that there is a peaceful way forward. Okay, these are quite personal questions, aren't they? Yeah. So, how can I retain hope in the face of this impossible challenge? You know, it might be an impossible challenge, we know, in terms of perhaps an illness or a disability. But you know, the impossible challenge of climate change. I was talking to a client the other day. You know, we need to retain hope that we can do something about it, whether it's a personal situation or a bigger one. What if I treated my home as a sanctuary, not just as a place to sleep? There is an acknowledgement that this is also about our immediate environment. It's not just about, you know, the environment, the globe, the seas, etc. It's also about nurturing our personal environment at home and the things we do on a daily basis. So, you know, what if this meal preparation was about real nourishment and enjoyable eating, not just about eating something? Yeah. So the environmental eco kind of stuff does also acknowledge this is about personal stuff every day. So if we took it further out and said, you know, thinking about the next level out, if you like, you know, what if you were not alone in this? What if we said to our clients, you know, what if you were not alone in this? Because we have a real addiction to, this is my problem, I've got to solve it, I'm the only one that can do anything about it. What if you were not alone in this? It invites in all sorts of other possibilities, that there is people out there with similar stuff going on, that we don't have to struggle on our own. And the kind of pairing question with this is, how might my community or network help? We really don't like asking people for help, and I've had lots of examples of that lately. So, oh, I don't want to bother them, you know, I don't want to pry, or, you know, God, it's their stuff, I'm not getting involved, or whatever. And I'm not a busybody neighbour or friend or family member particularly, but, you know, we have a real kind of come in our house, close the doors, and that's it. What choices could I make for the greater good of society? That's a biggie. Okay, I'm not expecting you to kind of just chuck that one in your coaching or OT session, but it's an interesting question, isn't it? What choices could I make that would be for the greater good of society? What could I do that helps others, not just me? And within that, there's an acknowledgement that a lot of well-being and joy comes from helping others. You know, so we're shifting away from it's all about me, it's all about me, it's all about me, to it's, you know, actually there could be lots of solutions in this that would help others as well. Things like what might help me get around, travel, etc., and participate and work without needing a car all the time. I mean, that's quite a basic one, isn't it? You know, we often strive for our clients, we've got to get them a car so they can get to work and they can have independence. Well, that's I really honour that, and please don't take this as a kind of she's bashing, you know, drivers. I drive, I've got a car, etc. But, you know, we need to start thinking about not necessarily assuming that we have to always have a car and that's the only way we have independence and freedom. And another one along with that is how might we do this within existing resources, adapting what we've got. I'm smiling because the whole existing resources thing makes people go, oh God, that sounds like we're at work and they're not going to give us any budget. But how might we adapt, reuse, recycle? I know that's quite basic stuff, what we've got, rather than buying from new. Yeah. And as I say, you know, simple things about how might others in your family or community be affected by your choices and actions right now? Because, you know, our striving, whether we're arranging care for somebody or trying to get them independent or what have you, it has a broader impact. And one for us as OTs, how about this? How could I design activities, environments and occupations that evoke collaboration and social gathering? a lot of that's come from, I've been canvassing for my Green Party and really noticing the impact of how housing design and town layout affects social gathering and people coming together and communing. You know, the way the back doors are positioned, the way where people park, etc. The communities have been designed to isolate us so much. You know, where the shops are, etc. No local pub, no local store, etc. I know that's a biggie and we're not often involved in those things, but there is stuff that we can do as OTs that could keep that in mind. There's 2 questions I've got left and then I'm going to stop the video because I think I've probably gone longer than I planned. You know, often we leave our clients in coaching with quite evocative inquiry questions, and for me I had this one asked of me yesterday, which was, what is your contribution to the world going to be? What legacy would you like to leave? It's pretty big, isn't it? You know, we don't often think about that. I've, as you know, I do quite a few different things, and it's really about, you know, making a choice for me about where I want to invest my energies and what legacy do I want to leave. And this last question, you know, how do you want the world to be a better place because you were in it? And with that, I will say goodbye, and I'll put some of the articles and bits and pieces I've been reading at the end of this video. But thank you for listening. Bye.